as well as Canada's bail laws. A 2006 inquiry found serious shortcomings in how the province's social services system handled the case, suggesting that the judges, prosecutors, and child welfare agencies involved were more concerned with presuming Shirley's innocence than with protecting Zachary. The inquiry concluded that Zachary's death had been preventable. The case led to the passage of Bill C-464, or Zachary's Bill, strengthening the conditions for bail in Canadian courts in cases involving the well-being of children. The deaths of Andrew Bagby and Zachary Turner became the basis for the 2008 documentary film Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father. That is actually how I heard about this case. I saw the documentary many years ago and was blown away at the absolute lack of law enforcement being able to keep this woman away from her child's father, let alone have her child in her custody as a completely unstable human being. It's a wonderful documentary. You will watch it once and probably never watch it again because it is so tragic and so sad, but it is worth the watch. It does stream for free on Amazon Prime for anyone that does want to watch the documentary. Shirley Jane Turner was a Canadian-American daughter of a U.S. serviceman and local woman from St. Anthony, Newfoundland and Labrador. She was raised with 3 siblings in Wichita, Kansas, but moved to Newfoundland with her mother after her parents separated. The parents later divorced. In 1980, Turner enrolled at Memorial University of Newfoundland in St. John's, seeking to embark on a medical career. Upon becoming pregnant, Turner married a longtime boyfriend during Memorial University's 1981 winter recess. The child, a boy, was born on July 9th of 1982. Turner's husband raised the child as a stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home mom, good fucking lord. Raised the child as a stay-at-home dad while Turner continued her studies. In 1983, Turner moved to Labrador City so concerned about Shirley Turner's approach to confrontation and the truth that we would never give her feedback or hold any major discussion with her alone. These incidents left the supervising physician with the impression that I felt like I was being manipulated whenever I spoke with Shirley Turner. When negative items would come up, she would change the topic to one of my failings. She could be charming, friendly, and lively, but when caught in an untruth, she would become angry, accusatory, and loud. I always felt Shirley Turner was putting on a show, as if she were playing the role, but had no feeling for her work. I cannot recall a trainee like Shirley Turner, in that her approach lacked personal commitment, and her relationships with people seemed, at least to me, to be superficial when compared to the over 400 residents I have supervised during the past 21 years. Pardon my dyslexia and my dog trampling along on the hardwood floors. My apologies, guys. In a later interview with an assessment officer at the Office of the Child and Youth Advocate, the supervising physician, in hindsight, described Turner as a manipulative, guiltless psychopath. The experience with Turner led that St. John's practice to make constructive changes in its residency evaluation process. By the summer of 2000, Turner had completed the requirements of her residency training and was qualified to practice medicine. In March of 1996, Turner began a relationship with a St. John resident, Miles Duchette, who was 13 years her junior. After Duchette broke up with Turner and moved elsewhere in Newfoundland, she began inundating him with phone calls. In November of 1997, Turner confronted him in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and struck him in the jaw with her high-heeled shoe. Fucking God, can you imagine having someone nail you in the jaw with a freaking high-heel spiked shoe? Shit. After consulting with his parents, Duchette moved to Westtown Township, Pennsylvania, in 1998. Turner followed the man to Pennsylvania, leaving threatening voicemails over the following year and making unannounced visits to his apartment. On several occasions, received a voicemail from a female caller who stated, "Dr. Turner died last night." Beginning in early 1999, Turner began dating Andrew David Bagby, an American medical student studying at Memorial University for his third year. Bagby came from Sunnyvale, California, and was the son of Kathleen Bagby, a registered nurse and midwife from England, and David Franklin Bagby, an American former United States Navy serviceman and computer engineer. In August 2000, Turner moved to Sac City, Iowa, to begin work for Trimark Physicians Corporation. Meanwhile, after graduating from Memorial University in May of 2000, Bagby landed a surgical residency at the State University of New York, Upstate Medical University at Syracuse, New York. Despite the distance between states, Turner and Bagby initially tried to maintain a long-distance relationship. By Turner's account, she visited Bagby's residence in Syracuse 7 times, while he visited her once in Sac City. During one of these visits, Turner is believed to have burglarized Bagby's apartment. In the fall of 2001, Bagby moved to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and began his residency at a family practice under the supervision of T. Clark Simpson. Pardon me. On July 10th of 2001, less than a year into her 10-year contract with Trimark, Turner left their Sac City clinic and moved to Council Bluffs, Iowa, where she was hired by Allegiant Health System of Omaha, Nebraska. In October of 2001, Turner obtained a permit to buy a firearm and purchased a Phoenix Arms HP 22 handgun and 22 ammunition, which she used during firearms lessons. Meanwhile, Turner exhibited possessive behavior towards Bagby and harassed him over the phone. On October 13th, Turner told Bagby that she was 3 months pregnant. Bagby agreed to talk with her about the pregnancy during a wedding that Bagby was scheduled to attend. When Turner visited him in Latrobe in late October of 2001, immediately after the last of her firearms lessons in Omaha, the two frequently argued over his relationship with a new girlfriend. On November 3rd of 2001, Turner confessed that she had been lying about her pregnancy in an effort to remain with Bagby permanently. Furious about this, Bagby drove Turner to the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport and broke residence in Council Bluffs and flew to Toronto, eventually resettling in St. John's with our oldest son. Acting in collaboration with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary's Intelligence Unit conducted surveillance on her movements. On December 2nd, the unit seized her trash and discovered printouts for an ultrasound taken on November 29th, showing a fetus that was conceived with Bagby the previous month. The RNC arrested Turner on December 12th, the same day extradition proceedings commenced against her. However, Newfoundland Justice Gail Welsh believed Turner, then 40, was not a threat to society, despite the murder charges awaiting her in Pennsylvania. Seriously. That's fucking laughable. Not a threat to society, okay. Turner was released from Her Majesty's Penitentiary Correctional Center for Women and was required to post $75,000 bail in Canadian dollars, turn in her passports, pay weekly visits to the RNC, promise not to leave the area, and make no attempt to contact Bagby's family. Turner posted bail with the help from her psychiatrist, John Duchette, a former co-worker from Memorial University. The news that Turner was pregnant with Bagby's child turned the extradition case into one involving child custody, and subsequently led to a complicated legal saga. David and Kathleen Bagby moved to St. John's, Newfoundland, in order to fight for custody of their son's child. While Turner eventually moved into her own apartment on Pleasant Street in St. John's. After Zachary's birth on July 18th of 2002, Turner initially refused to allow David and Kathleen Bagby to see their grandson, fearing that they would kidnap him. She went so far as to discharge her family lawyer because of his positive attitude towards the Bagbys. On several occasions, it was noted that Zachary had poor attachment to his mother and preferred the company of other adults, particularly his grandparents. This preference was made especially clear during Zachary's first birthday party at a St. John's McDonald's, after which Turner said to Kathleen, "He obviously loves you more than me, so why don't you take him?" Turner was returned to jail in November of 2002, pending a decision by the federal justice minister regarding whether she should be extradited to the United States. However, in January of 2003, Justice Welsh again released her, arguing that the murder was not directed at the public at large and that Turner was presumed to be innocent. On August 18th of 2003, Zachary was scheduled to be in his mother's custody. Turner first purchased her prescription of lorazepam from St. John's Pharmacy. After mixing her lorazepam into Zachary's baby formula and ingesting a toxic dosage herself, Turner strapped the infant to her chest with her sweater and jumped off a fishing wharf at Foxtrap Marina into the Atlantic Ocean. Turner drowned. It was determined investigation, which concluded that Zachary's death was preventable and criticized Newfoundland and Labrador's social services system for failing to protect the child from his mother, stating, "Nowhere did I find any ongoing assessment of the safety needs of the children." Markston specifically cited poor communication between social services officials who worked on the presumption of Turner's innocence throughout the case and became more concerned for her welfare than for Zachary's. Markston ultimately concluded that internal disagreements between caseworkers and managers weren't openly discussed, and that an intervention by an outside office should have been made. The provincial government of Newfoundland and Labrador accepted the report's conclusions and its 29 recommendations. On October 23rd of 2009, Scott Andrews, then a Liberal MP from Newfoundland and Labrador, introduced Bill C-464, or Zachary's Bill, which would change the Crime Code of Canada to allow the courts to justify refusing bail to those accused of serious crimes in the name of protecting their children. The bill received unanimous support in the Canadian House of Commons and received support from Liberal Senator Tommy Banks. It was finally signed into law by Governor General David Johnston on December 16th of 2010. Andrews later said that the law gives the Bagbys some sense that someone has heard their cries, so that this will not happen again. To change the law to make sure something this tragic can never happen again. David Bagby penned a book about the case, Dance with the Devil, a memoir of murder and loss, which was published in 2007. The documentary Dear Zachary came out in 2008. Again, if you guys want to watch it, I think Amazon Prime is the only thing it's streaming on. That's the only thing I could find it on. But, you know, what a senseless, multiple acts of violence that could have been absolutely avoided had proper action been taken against this woman before she did these horrific things. I'm glad that Canada changed its laws to, keep this from happening again. But for Andrew Bagby's family, they not only lost their son, but they lost their grandson as well, who, I'm sure was a shining light to their family after their son was murdered, to know that they would have a little piece of him. Very sad case, and it just goes to show, you don't know people, not for real. When he started dating her, I'm sure he had no idea that she had, stalking allegations and, physically assaulted exes, but, it may have changed things had he known some of those things. Really interesting case.